Hey guys, what is up? It's me, Croft Studios, and I am here with part 3 of how to sort your Legos. Today I'm going to be going into larger accessory pieces and kind of specialty pieces when it comes to building mocks and having things for your minifigures, different pieces like that. It's kind of a broad range of pieces, so this will be a very interesting episode of how to sort your Legos. So let's get straight into it. Now, I use a lot of different bins to sort this kind of stuff when it comes to large, awkward pieces and specialty pieces, as well as minifigure accessory pieces that might be a bit larger. It's kind of varied when it comes to the way I sort them, just because there's so many different types of pieces that you can sort. So the bin variations of them will be a bit different for this video, so I'll get straight into the first type. So as I highlighted in my last video, I use a lot of these very durable bins right here. This is actually one of the ones that hooks onto the bottom one, so you can carry them together. But this is basically one of them that I use. They're very heavy duty. You can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, places like that. So let's open this up. I've actually gone over a few of these things in my previous video, such as lightsaber hilts and things like that, little balls. So I guess we can get into the big stuff now. So there's a few things in here that I'm talking about when it comes to big kind of specialty parts. One of them being R2 unit pieces. So if you guys know what those are from Star Wars. So those would contain any pieces to do with R2-D2 heads, R2-D2 bodies, or legs. So I kind of keep all those in one spot. Since I do have a good amount of those. They might not necessarily be Star Wars pieces, but they're just pieces that would be used for Star Wars droid heads and things like that. I have a spot for those. So another thing I do is I sort my chairs into one spot. Now, in my actual color bins, where I keep all my normal pieces, I have a lot of chairs still kind of mixed in there. Whenever I find them, I try to sort them out and bring them over here, just so in case I ever need a chair, I don't have to look through the bins for them. I can just go straight here and get them. I find when making mocks that's really helpful, because chairs are definitely a accessory piece that is widely used in the mock community, just because it's needed for a lot of different kinds of mocks. So having a spot for those helps. Same thing with big bullets for bigger guns. I'll show you where I keep the bigger guns in a minute. I keep string and rubber bands when it comes to like the Lego rubber bands, as well as fins and things like that for mocks and stuff like that. And we have spring-loaded missiles right here. So those are just a few things that I sort when it comes to these big bulky hardware bins. So taking this one off, you can see we have more parts in this bottom one right here. And these ones are definitely very interesting pieces right here. So I showed these in a previous video, kind of like big helmets and things like that. I have in a very big spot, since I don't really use them very often, but I do have a spot for them. So moving into a lot of mock-like pieces and things like that, I keep a lot of those in here. I have dice in here, which are kind of a weird piece. I don't really use them. But like I said, having them all in one spot in case I ever do want to use the Lego dice, in case I make something for Land of Warriors, which is a custom board game series that I made. I have super jumpers, which is good for Lego superhero minifigures. I have these, which are kind of sloped pieces that you can use for the front of boats, front of spaceships, and they all have some type of printing on them. You can see those down here. I have these specifically because they're printed of some way, so in case you ever want to add detail to a spaceship or a boat or just any type of model in general, you can do that very easily by just going into here and looking for something you might want. You got some brown ones, you got one in here with a droid head on it. Same thing over here. These are kind of like very big banners and flags and satellite dish type pieces with some type of printing or cool design on them. Just something, I pretty much keep those pieces like this in here just in case I'm going through a mock and I really want to add something that pops out to it or some type of detail. Same thing with over here. This is another very weird spot. I keep a lot of sloped pieces in here. This one has a spaceship look to it. This one has some type of ornament on it, I'm guessing. I think this one's from the Death Star. You can see they either have stickers or some type of detailing on them. But either way, they're easily accessible for me to go and look through, so I can add them to mocks. So as a mock builder, having things like this being sorted is just very important to me. Same thing with right here. We've got big ball and kind of like satellite dish or circular pieces right here. You can see there's a lot of them in here. They kind of vary based on size, but just organizing your pieces based on type and printing and things like that is definitely helpful if you do have a lot of them. And then this section right here, like I said, I keep all this stuff together because I can get it all in one spot. And here is kind of like actual brick pieces that have detailing on them. You see this is a 2x3 brick, except it has something on the front of it. This one, this is like Unikitty's tail. This is Unikitty's face. You can see there's different bricks with different detailing on them and things like that. So like I said, I keep all those in one spot because I think that they're very important for building mocks and things like that. They're very specialty parts, and just having them mixed in with the rest of the parts for me would be a shame. Moving on to a new bin type, which I haven't really talked about yet in this series, which is these kind of bigger, more just vast size bins right here, and they're very accessible. They have a double hinged opening right here. You can find these at Michael's and different types of places. Not this exact one necessarily, I'm not guaranteeing that you'll find it, but there are different ones like it. Now, I talked about this in previous videos. Grouping things together can be really helpful for sorting things. Micro-organizing can sometimes be a bad thing. So you can see with these two bins is a perfect example of that. In this bin, I have different types of guns and shooting mechanisms. So you can see I have cannons, I have big guns that shoot things, I have big stud shooters, these circular ones that you spin around and shoot studs out of them. We have spring-loaded missiles, or spring-loaded shooters, but you can see all of those are in this one spot. So if I ever need to add those to a mock, they're right here. Same thing with this. These are all containers and giant barrels. So you can see I keep the giant barrels in here, I keep chests in here, I keep drawers and kind of like little safes, desk drawers, anything you can think of along those lines is all put in one spot. Now, I could go ahead and micro-organize all that stuff, but what would be the point of that, just because you'd have to have that many more bins for everything you sort out of there. So for me, it's just having it all in one location and being able to find it very easily. Another thing I like to have organized is my ball joint pieces and clicker joints. Now, you may think that's going to take a lot of time to sort through and find. Now, don't get me wrong, it's taken me a long time to find this stuff, but anything that has to do with joint pieces, kind of like this, these are clicker joints, these are clicker joints right here, and we've got ball joints in here as well, the easily swivelable pieces, we have the small ball joints. Now, I have all these in one spot, and it honestly is a blessing. I'm so glad that I decided to sort all those out. I haven't gotten all of them from my collection. I've probably only scratched the surface, to be honest, of going through my bins and finding them. But having them all in one spot when you're making mocks, because if you're making a mech, or if you're making some type of weird vehicle or an animal or just anything that needs these pieces, you have them in one spot. So I think organizing these pieces is definitely a very good thing for you to do if you plan on making a lot of mocks. Right here is another example of how I organize, kind of group things together. So you can see I have dinosaurs, a lot of big ones, a lot of animals, big molded things. You can see we have Dogshank in here from the Ninjago pirate scene. We've got the troll, the cave troll from Lord of the Rings. We've got all kinds of different stuff in here. But having all these in one spot is always a good thing to do as well. Even though it's not necessarily the most important thing, it's just what I do with my collection. This is another bin I have right here of big molded animals and things like that. There's no difference. I just forgot to show this one. But our next actual bin that we're going to move on to right here is wall pieces with some type of printing or design on them. Now, these can be curved walls. These can be straight walls with windows on them. Doesn't really matter. As long as there's some type of wall in general, and have some type of printing on them, because having these is very helpful for when you're making buildings and things like that. Not even buildings, maybe the inside of a spaceship, or there's a lot of different things you can do with these. Like I could have used this on my Ninja Rocket ship video. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a Ninjago set. I actually used these curved pieces on the outside of it. On the inside, it could have had these detailing. So there's a lot of different uses for things like this, and I find that if you make a lot of mocks, it's good to have them in one area. This is another bin that I have of kind of many different things in them, and they aren't necessarily things I use all the time. They're kind of just bigger, bulky things when it comes to the actual piece. So we've got boats in here, so you can see like big boat pieces. I'm sure there's people that have more or less of certain pieces, so things like this can be organized together. You can see I have ladder pieces in here, I have anchor pieces in here, and I also have these big rope or net pieces. Now, they all kind of relate to each other in a way. They're utilities. All of them are ocean things except for really the ladders. But you can still use those. I mean, I kind of just group them together since they're bigger pieces. But like I said, just knowing where your pieces are at, having them all in one spot is very helpful. And here are a few more miscellaneous bins right here I have of other stuff that I sort. So this one right here is literally brick separators. Over the years, we've just gotten so many of these things to the point where we have them in one spot. We even have a green one in here from the Palace Cinema, but we have all these in here in case we ever need to use them for mocks, which actually we pull them out all the time because having them when you're making mocks is really helpful. This is another type of detailing thing I was talking about earlier, where you have, these are just flat tile or pieces that have some type of detailing on them that could be useful maybe in a ship or really anything. Anything your mind lets you think of when it comes to Lego building, they could be helpful. This is another animal bin, actually, except this one is specific to horses. Horses are kind of a... they're more common, I feel like, than a lot of the other ones, so having those in one spot is always good. And then this is kind of an odd one, but we have a lot of the Lego Minecraft characters, and they're kind of big and bulky. Same thing with the weapons and the characters. They're all kind of like strange looking, so having all these in kind of one spot helps as well. This is kind of a strange bin right here. This bin literally has random things that don't have any place. They're just very weird and odd pieces that just don't have a spot. And I want to have them somewhere where I could get them, but they're just very strange. You can see this is a piece that literally has metal on it. This is a Lego sports piece, if I'm not mistaken. This is like Metalbeard's beard, I'm pretty sure. There's just so many very, very strange pieces in here. We got light bricks. You can see there's just everything you can think of when it comes to random and odd pieces. I have a spot for all this just in case I ever want to go in here and try to find something unique to put on my model. Alright guys, so the last sorting bin type I'm really going to talk about is basically having a very big flat bin. Now, this one is actually broken, but I keep a lot of my bagged items in here that just don't really have a good spot in actual sorting bins. Now, the reason I do that is I actually slide them underneath my bed, which is right over here. It's a really good sorting technique that I've used for a long time, is putting just big bins and sliding them under a low-lying bed. It's a really good technique to use if you're trying to organize big amounts of Lego. So we'll get straight into this stuff and why I sort it. So pretty much right here, I have big sail pieces and cloth pieces. Now, I almost never use these. You can see we also have stairs and stuff in here. But these are all things I really don't use, but in case I ever need them, I do have them. Like big sail pieces, I haven't thought of a time where I really needed to use them except for Chin's Steamboat. I used a sail on that once, but I can't really think of another set where I've used a sail. But I do have these. So another thing that I have are these Lego Dimensions things. They're like little game pads. You can see we have a lot of them right here. I have all these in here just because they're kind of a weird piece and they don't really have a spot. And I don't use them very often, so I do have those in one spot. Another very good tip is don't throw out your broken Lego. I kind of keep all those in one spot. If there's ever a mock that I want to make where I have like broken something in the set, maybe I want to use a broken piece, but I have all my broken Lego pieces in one spot, at least the ones that I have found. Another thing I organize is bikes, motorcycles, different things like that. Have them in a bag here in case I ever need those. And then this is kind of a rule of thumb. When it comes to really big bulky pieces that just don't have a good spot and could easily break, put them in a spot that they will stay safe. I put them inside of this big bin with the rest of the stuff so they don't get crushed by another bin or something along those lines. It's a nice, safe, secure spot for these pieces. Not sure if I'll ever need to use them, but I do have them. And then, like I said, just organize your specialty pieces the way you need to. I happen to have these months of the year and things like that from a Lego calendar, and I happen to keep them in here. So like I said, it's up to you how to decide how to organize your pieces and figure that out. Another thing when it comes to specialty parts is base plates. Now you can see I have this very large Lego basketball sports box. Now everyone doesn't have one of these, but you can see on the inside of here I keep my base plates. So I recommend getting a very big box piece for your base plates and anything that has to do with those, because it's probably the best way to sort them, but that's just pretty much what I do with mine. This is a very small bin right here, and you can see it's a very specialty type of bin. These are very small. You can get these at Michael's and things like that for sorting beads and things like that. But I have a spot for my 1x1 tiles and other types of parts like that. Because having 1x1 tiles in your mocks is definitely needed sometimes. And I happen to use them a lot when I'm building my mocks. So I have them separated by color in these little areas. So whenever I find them in my bulk bins, I'll kind of just sort them back into here. So the last thing I want to talk about in this video is Mega Bloks. Now it's kind of a weird topic. I kind of consider this to be specialty just because it's very strange. It's not Lego, and but they are still part of the collection. So I keep actual Mega Bloks and other brand of toy pieces in here. So things that can be like attached to Lego. Yeah, there's even some stuff in here that's not like attachable to Lego, but I still have it anyway, just in case, you know, for whatever reason I do have it. But these are all like Mega Bloks pieces. We have Mega Bloks weapons and accessories in one spot, and I have Mega Bloks characters. So, like I said, I keep those separated from my Lego. I'm not sure how everyone else does it. I'm sure there's people that kind of combine them. It's fine. I even use Mega Bloks pieces sometimes in my sets. Don't tell anyone. Just on the insides and things like that if I ever need to use it for something very strange. Because Mega Bloks has some very strange and unique pieces that Lego doesn't have sometimes. But that's just a little secret between you and me when it comes to using Mega Bloks pieces. But, like I said, organize at your own will. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of hectic episode of how to sort your Legos. This one was kind of going to be the crazy one just because there's so many different bin types, so many different piece types. There's no really great way to go about it, but I did want to show you exactly how I do it. And we'll get to color sorting and things like that in the next video, which will be the big regular pieces and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Tell me in the comments below how you sort your pieces and the way you do it. Tell me some recommendations and things like that. And if you liked the video, please try to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed, and leave a like on the video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.